Welcome to Time Travel 56 and a fourth look at Surrey street rodder Harold Martin's cine film, this time taken at the Drags, visited Santapod and Blackbushe from 1976 to 1984. We kick off at the pod for some qualifying action at the 1976 Easter Spring Nationals.
Beautiful straight run for Brian Hayward.
Paul Jameson was out testing his bodiless V12 Merlin-powered street machine. Ros Pryor comes out in the Fast Lady slingshot, but engine problems over the weekend prevented her from qualifying for the 8-car Top Fuel Eliminator. Senior comp qualifying saw Dave Page in the rat-powered Panic and Tony Preston in the mouse-powered Reality. More senior comp qualifying as Dick Sharp brings out his Pontiac-powered Dorset Horn alongside Vic Hammond in the new Mr. Big Bantam fitted with an injected Chrysler Hemi. This rapid red Victor was Chevy-powered and run by Dave Warren. Michael Wyand in the Damn Yankee comes out against Steve Johnson in Motor Mouse. On to funny car qualifying and two excellent smoke out the side windows burnouts from Roland Pratt and Peter Barnett. Roland qualified the Hillbillies Avenger with a 7.3 while Peter qualified with a 7.7. Pete Smith in Midas Mist comes out alongside Norm Wheeldon in It's the Wheel Thing for some Jag-powered junior comp-altered qualifying. Pro-Comp qualifying saw Jim Reed in Le Patron against Pat Cuss's Ratcatcher. On to Middle Comp Altered, and it's Jason Smith in the Pontiac-powered Fire Engine alongside Reg Hazelton's Chevy-powered T-Bird. Pro Stock qualifying saw Glenn Jarvis in Wild Rose and Whiffy Smith in the Insurance in ProMotion Nova, which looks like it blows something at the top end. Mick Saunders backs up in the Animal. Liz Byrne was running the Lizard in Pro Comp with Donovan Power. Cliff Puddle breaks on the line, while Robin Tallis qualifies Liquidator for Middle Comp. In the near lane is Jim Whiting in the Silent Night MG-powered Austin A40. And that's John Wood in the Hairy Fairy V6 powered A40. Glenn Jarvis comes back out alongside Maury Morris in Orange E. 2 middle comp Chevy powered tees as Mick Saunders takes on Reg Clark in Sunset. Probably the most well-known altereds from the 70s were the Jag-powered Wild Honey and Stripteaser. Jason Smith comes back out alongside John Foden in the Jag Topolino Frantic. More middle comp qualifying as Barry Moore brings out the Syndicate in the far lane against Dave Johnson in Traction Action Bantam, both powered by small block Fords. The Royal Artillery Motorcycle Display Team were doing stunts all weekend. Top Fuel qualifying and Peter Crane in Stormbringer comes out alongside Alan Herridge in the new Ashvale Alligator. By the end of the day, Pete had qualified number 1 with a 6:21, while Bootsy was number 2 with a 6:31. Jason Smith comes out again alongside Cliff Puddle's Pop. Then it's Robin Tallis again and Reg Hazelton. Mick Saunders puts in another run alongside Dave Johnson. That looks like Dennis Priddle coming down the far up road with his Avenger 2 funny car. Dave Stone was out in the Exton Shoemaker Stardust Barracuda, now running Chevy power. He qualified for funny car with an 8.5. Glenn Jarvis comes out again in the Wild Rose Falcon. Everyone had come to see Don Garlitz in his King Rat Bueller, but engine problems prevented him from running quicker than a 6.89 during qualifying. Russ Carpenter in the Daimler-powered Trouble and Strife digger comes out alongside the V12 meth drinker slingshot of Alan Sharp to qualify for senior dragster. Dennis Priddle runs a 6.92 to qualify for funny car, but split the block, putting him out of the race on Monday. John Ledster was running his Mr. Big Mustang in Pro Stock. Ronnie Picardo got Farfly down to a 7.35 during Top Fuel qualifying. Pete Barnett comes out for another qualifying run in the ex-Skilton Vauxhall VX490. Jim Reed got his ex-Priddle slingshot into the sevens during the weekend with a 7.81 at 181 miles an hour. That's Matt Armstrong from Sweden in his 27T Roadster, as we now take a quick visit to the 1977 July Internationals. Tony Merry was driving Liquidator and Dick Sharp got Dorset Horn into the nines with a drop of nitro in the tank. On to Funny Car first round, and after the 2 burnouts each, Dennis Priddle took the win in his Monza with a 6.86 at 202 miles an hour to Owen Hayward's off form 8.56 in Hound Dog. Alan Herridge had a first round by run and clicked off a 6.78 at 203 miles an hour. Bootsy had run a 220 mile an hour terminal in qualifying for a new Funny Car speed record. Also with a first round by run was John Anderson from Sweden in his Rodec powered Opel Manta. On to 1978 and more Funny Car action at the Easter Spring Nationals as Raymond Beadle, over from the USA, qualifies the Blue Max Mustang with a 6.54 at 217. Then Alan Herridge qualifies the Gladiator Vega with a 6.90 at 215. Dennis Priddle now had John Wolfe sponsorship on his Monza and qualifies with a 6.77 at 202. Over from Sweden, Anders Hasselstrom qualifies his Candy Red and Orange Monza with an 8.14. Dave Stone finds some traction in Stardust and qualifies with a wheel standing 7.61. Owen Hayward ran a 7.47 on his first full pass in the new SLDO Hound Dog Funny Car. Alan Herridge comes out for another run in Gladiator. Second qualifier for Raymond Beadle resulted in a 6.58, which backed up his 6.54. Funny Car first round saw Alan Herridge shut down Dave Stone with a 6.60 to Stardust's 8.21. Dennis Priddle had a bye run, getting out of shape off the line and coasting through the traps. Raymond Beadle also had a first round bye run and clicked off a 6.60. On to Pro Comp first round as Krista Johansson in his injected rail pulls a whole shot on Liz Byrne, winning with a slower 7.63 to the Lizard's 7.61. Back to Funny Car first round and Hound Dog solos to a 7.12 as Anders Hasselstrom couldn't get his Monza body to latch down. Back to Pro Comp again and a 7.69 solo for Tony Dongis. On to Top Fuel first round as Ros Pryor solos her Man-Eater rail to a 7.45. Then Mickey Naylor gets a solo in the Medicine Man slingshot fueler and clocks a 7.52. Next up, another solo run for Ronnie Picardo, who did a far burnout, then blew the motor off the line. The only race in the first round of Top Fuel saw Jerry Andrews in Hemi Hunter against Trevor Young in the newly imported Competition Products row. Jerry took the win with a 7.54 to Trevor's 8.37. Not running in competition was the new needle fueler built for Dave Lee Travis. Peter Crane was in the driving seat for this meeting and ran at some low 8-second shakedown runs. After getting the body latch down, Anders Hasselstrom came out and ran a 7.43. An all-Swedish Pro Comp final saw Tony Dongis win with a 7.61 as Chris Johansson got out of shape. Funny Car semi-final saw Priddle take the win with a 6.91 to Owen Hayward's 7.22. The second semi was a disappointment as Beadle put a rod through the block during the burnout and Herridge was shut off with an engine fire but was awarded the win. Top Fuel semis saw Ros Pryor through on a solo as Picardo couldn't come back after his fire. Then Mickey Naylor got another solo win as Jerry Andrews lost fire in Hemi Hunter. Peter Crane came out for another shakedown run in the needle. Owen Hayward came out for a practice run before the Top Fuel final, which saw Ros Pryor on fire through the traps as Naylor took it with his first 200-mile-an-hour run, running 7.30 at 203 to Pryor's 7.57, proving that slingshot still ruled. Funny Car final and Bootsy took it with a 6.54 to Priddle's 6.73. On to the September Internationals as Mickey Naylor takes out Trevor Young in the Top Fuel semis with a 6.56 to a 7.05. This is Tommy Svensson's Blue Swede Opel Manta Pro Comp Funny Car, which was the same car that John Anderson was running in 77. Ros Pryor ran a best of 3 against Swedish lady Eva Jelling and Ros took the first race. Back to Top Fuel semi-final and Jerry Andrews ran a best yet 7.16 but got beaten by Kent Pearson's 6.75. Funny Car round 1 and Texan Gene Snow comes out against Dennis Priddle, who got the whole shot but couldn't hold off the Snowman 6.34 to a 6.61. Then John Anderson ran an easy solo as Anders Hasselstrom had broken. Next up, Dave Stone and Owen Hayward. Hound Dog took it with a 6.62 to Stardust 7.67. Then it was Raymond Beadle against Alan Herridge. After the burnouts and dry hops, Blue Max pulled ahead to a 6.36 to Gladiator's 6.56. Sammy Miller made his first appearance at Santapod with the Vanishing Point Vega Rocket Funny Car and blew everyone's mind with 5 4-second runs during the weekend, the best being a 4.41 at 290 miles an hour. The second Ros and Eva matchup saw Ros take it again with a best yet 6.43 to Eva's 6.73. Pro Comp first round saw Krista Johansson take out Vaughan Ardine's Injected Funny with a 7.08 to a 7.67. Martin Hopp took the next race in the Sam Glass Corvette. but opponent Graham Hawes did well in the new Black Magic Monza, running 7:59.182. Next up, Anders Lantz in the Finlandia Funny takes out Tommy Svensson in Blue Swede. Last race of round 1 saw Rune Field take it in his Pinto Funny with a 7:31 to an 8:14 from Reg Hazelton in the Thunderbird Topolino. On to Funny Car semi-finals, and John Anderson comes out against Owen Hayward in Hound Dog, who got too eager and left before the lights rolled, handed the win to the Swede. The other semi saw the two Americans together, and Gene Snow took it with a 6:36 to Raymond Beadle's shut-off 7:82. Gene Snow went on to take the Funny Car final. The Top Fuel final went to Kent Pearson after Mickey Naylor crashed the Medicine Man with a start line wheel stand, and Pro Comp went to Martin Hopp. One week later, and it's the last NDRC meeting of 1978, held at Blackbushe on September the 24th, as Dennis Priddle match races his Fuel Funny Car against Trevor Young's Top Fuel Dragster. Malcolm Ollie was there with his Pink Panther Jet Dragster. Pro Comp semi-final saw Liz Byrne in the Lizard up against husband Ollie Byrne's Komodo Dragon Vega Funny Car. Then it's the Pages Panic T against Reg Hazelton's Thunderbird Topolino. That's Nick Butler's Revenge. Dennis Priddle and Trevor Young come out again, and this time the dragster takes the win. On to 1979, and back to Santa Pod for the Easter International. Dave Page was on top form in Panic, and a 7:15 by Tony Dongis couldn't catch Dave's whole shot 7:21 in the second round of Pro Comp. Jerry Andrews was running Hemi Hunter in Pro Comp, and here beats Jim Reed in Le Patron with a 7:37 to a 7:40. Then Martin Hopp, in his repainted Corvette, beat Pat Cuss with a 7:52 to an 8:39. Bob Jarrett was out in Stripteaser. And here Russ Carpenter comes out to face Lennart Eckering over from Sweden with his Renault bodied altered. The Glacier Grenade takes the win with a 9:18 to the Renault's 9:49. Alan Herridge debuted another new Asphalt Alligator. Bornardine was back out with his injected Vega. Dave Lee Travis ran top times of the meet, with the first round 6.66 at 220 miles an hour in the Needle. But he blew the motor in the final, letting Bootsy take the win. Sylvia Hauser took the production win in her Mopar Missile Dodge. Ros Pryor was back out in her Man-Eater Fueler. Stenek Karasson was over from Sweden with his injected Maverick. Ronnie Picardo was out for the first time in the Force, an ex-Gene Snow Monza, and he took the funny car win with a 7.09 over a slowing Hound Dog. After wiping out all the Scandinavian entries, Dave Page came out to face Jerry Andrews for an all-UK Pro-Com final. Panic took the win with an Arrow straight 7.18 at 189 miles an hour to Hemi Hunter's 7.35 at 190. Over to Blackbushe now as Bob Jarrett warms the tyres in Stripteaser. Then it's back to the pod for the Mayday meet and the Pro-Comp semis. Graham Hawes comes out against Jim Reed, who breaks the transmission after the burnout, letting Black Magic solo to an 7.83, 176 miles an hour. Second semi-final saw Gary Page in Panic take on Reg Hazelton, who red lit, giving the win to the Pages. Top Fuel first round saw Trevor Young on a solo run. Then it was Ronnie Picardo against Jerry Andrews, who broke on the line. The Hound Dog funny car was entered in Top Fuel and comes out against Peter Crane in the Needle, who smoked the tyres, giving the win to Owen Hayward. This meeting saw the debut of Vic Hammond's Cockney Rebel Pro-Com Altered. Phil Herrick in Muscle Sprout gets shut down by Robert Hunt in Drag Addict. Then Steve Johnson gets out of shape off the line in his Motormouth slingshot as Tony Merry blows something in Liquidator. Russ Carpenter burns out in his Daimler Digger Glacier Grenade. Pro-Comp final saw Graham Hawes run a best yet 7.50 at 174, but Page took it with a 7.46 176. Dave Stone in Tender Trap took out Owls Gasser in the top modified semis. Two American bikes came over for the meeting and they both got to the Superbike final. Ken Annesley took it with an 8.09 as Marion Owens crossed the centre line. Herb Andrews in Pumping Iron takes on the Jag slingshot of Michael Rose. Then it's Pete Blake in Sabbath against Drag Addict. That's Steve Morphy's DTV Turbo Chevette. On now to Blackbushe and a look around the pits. Graham Hawes and team were there with Black Magic. And Dennis Priddle was there with his John Wolfe Racing Monza. The Page family were there, and this is the new small block Chevy Pro Comp dragster of Norm Wilden and Tim Claxon. Tony Merry blast off in Liquidator. Then Bob Jarrett comes out against Brian Thomas in Paranoia. You can see here why Stripteaser was called the Jumping Doghouse. Sylvia Hauser now had a new paint job on her production Challenger. As usual, the Surrey Street Rodders organised a custom show at Blackbushe. Jim Reed comes out against Ray Hoare in the Turbo Saxon as we take a look at some Pro Comp action. That's Alan Rittmeister's Orpheus Donovan dragster, based on Pat Cuss's 77 car. Russ Carpenter comes out against Richard Jarman's V6 Hepalite Hustler slingshot. Then it's Terry Rebel in the Assassin Chevy T against John Whitmore's Dragonfly. Tony Merry comes out against Robert Harmon's Puma Westlake dragster Lolita. Then it's Stripteaser again against George Davies' pub crawler Jag Slingshot. Back to Centre Pod for the September World Series as Russ Carpenter shuts down Steve Young in the Autocat Topolino. In the far lane is the chopped injected 57 Chevy of Thomas Larsson from Sweden. Also from Sweden, this four-door Willys run by Kent Trenman. Al O'Connor beats another Swede, Hans Svensson, in his Toyota. And Sam Connell just beats this Swede, Anders Breck, in his yellow Corvette. Before the first round of Funny Car, there was the parade of Fuelers, Funnies and Pro Comp machines, which were all fired up on the strip. Hot Rod and Custom magazine sponsored the Funny Cars, and that's their project pickup. That's Ludwig Bornstad and Kent Pearson's Fuelers. DLT was there, as was Owen Hayward and Trevor Young. John Anderson had failed to qualify his Mustang for Funny Car. Anders Hasselstrom was in at number 3. Raymond Beadle qualified number 2. Bootsy was back out with a rebuilt Gladiator. Gene Snow left the crowd gasping after a 6.08 qualifier for number 1 spot. Ronnie Picardo was in at the 8-car field with the Force, as was Hesse Fromm. That's Christer Johansson's injected rail and the beautiful California Charger Trans Am of Stena Stolen. Graham Hawes qualified number 1 for Pro Comp with a 7.25. Sammy Miller was back and here records a 4.56 at 265. Funny car first round and Anders Hasselstrom shuts down Hesse Fromm with a wheel standing 661 to a 678. Then Gene Snow takes out Herridge with a 624 to a 660. Next up, Raymond Beadle beats a slowing Priddle with a 622 at 225 miles an hour. Then Owen Hayward shuts down Picardo with a 670 to a 7 flat. Funny car semis and Snow easily beats Hayward with a 617 to a 695. Then Beadle pulls a hole shot over Hasselstrom, winning with a slower 620 to the Swede's 616. Pro Comp semis and Christer Johansson takes out Anders Liam with a 744 to a 773. Then Norm Wilden took out Jim Reed with a 736 to a 766. Sammy Miller comes back out and records a 4.31 at 306 miles an hour. Russ Carpenter shuts down Tommy Carson in the Burka Racing Mustang. Then Neil Roberts in the Triumph-powered Comet Dragster shuts down Inga Johansson's Chevy-powered Bantam. Dave Tucker was driving Stripteaser and gets shut down by the unbeatable Swedish Jeep of Svante Eriksson, who went on to take Supercomp Eliminator. John Whitmore takes out Steve Johnson. Top Fuel final saw Kent Pearson defeat Trevor Young with a 661 to a 7-0. Then it was the Pro Comp final and the crowd went wild as Norm Wilden in his home-built small block powered dragster defeated Christer Johansson with a 737 to the Swede's 750. As darkness fell, the 2 American funny cars came out for the final. Gene Snow got a slight hole shot and won with a 604, but Beadle clocked a new funny car record with a 600 at 227 miles an hour. Back to Blackbushe 2 weeks later for the last NDRC meet of 1979. Vic Hammond was back out with his new Pro Comp T-altered based on the old Hillbillies Avenger chassis. Then it's Gary Page and Jim Reed. Trevor Young was back out, match racing with Dennis Priddle. Malcolm Ollie was back out with his Pink Panther jet. Then it's Graham Hawes and Reg Hazelton. On to 1980 and back to Santa Pod for the September World Finals. Straight into the first round of the 16-car Hot Rod and Custom UK sponsored funny car eliminator as Ronnie Picardo beats Owen Haywood, who crosses the centre line. Next up, John Anderson and fellow Swede Leif Dayback in the Cannon. John Anderson takes it with a best yet 6.38 at 215 as Leif slows to a 7.88. Then it's Dennis Priddle and the Camaro of Stig Hansen from Sweden. Both cars were eliminated when Priddle crossed the outside line and Stig red lit. Next up, it's Rune Field from Norway in the Landlubber Mustang and Alan Herridge in the Gladiator Trans Am. Rune Field got the jump on Bootsy, winning with a slower 6.58 to a 6.28. Tom Hoover, driving the Blue Max Arrow, came out to face Don the Snake Prudhomme in his Army Arrow, but a broken fuel pump put the Snake out and Hoover soloed for the win. Then it was two Swedes, Anders Hasselstrom in the Red Baron Monza and Hasse From in the Ragnarok Mustang. Hasselstrom took the win as From red lit. Harlan Thompson comes out in the Trey Krona Arrow to face Paul Manders in the Time and Motion Mustang, who breaks on the line, giving the win to Thompson. The other first round race saw Gene Snow take it as Dave Stone in the Stardust Mustang lost far after the burnouts. A pair of blown Daimlers come out as Russ Carpenter takes on John Whitmore in Supercom. Round 2 of Funny Car and Tom Hoover comes out to face John Anderson. This was the race of the day as Anderson uncorks a 6.26 at 223 miles an hour to beat the American 6.38 at 221. Anders Hasselstrom took the next race when Rune Field lost far. Then it was Gene Snow against Ronnie Picardo. The Snowman took it with a 6.39. Harlan Thompson got an easy bye run into the semis. Some of the first round losers and non-qualifiers came back out for a second Funny Car Eliminator, which caused a bit of confusion and never reached a final, with a lot of the cars breaking. Dom Prudhomme came out again, but broke after the burnout. That's Peter Crane in the Hustler Vega, which was the old Gladiator. The Stardust Mustang was the old Blue Max car. Russ Carpenter comes out again, and this time shuts down Bob Jarrett in Stripteaser. Phil Turk in his Camaro takes on the Swedish injected Maverick. Funny Car semi-final, and Gene Snow comes out to face Anders Hasselstrom, who crosses the outside lane, giving the win to the Snowman. Then it's John Anderson against Harlan Thompson. In a close race, Harlan just took it with a 6.35 to Anderson's 6.40. Some of the first round losers come out again before the Funny Car final. Russ Carpenter broke in the Supercomp semis. Time for the Hot Rod and Custom UK Funny Car final. Gene Snow lost bar after the burnout, giving Harlan Thompson an easy solo for the win, but he kept his foot in it to record a 6.32. One year later, and it's the Daily Mirror World Finals, held at Santapod in September 1981. Sammy Miller was there with two cars, the Vanishing Point Mustang Rocket Funny and the Oxygen Rocket Dragster. Harlan Thompson was back out, driving the American Graffiti Funny Car. That's John Grosland's Pro Comp Arrow from Norway. Rico Antis was there with his T-Altered from Germany. Martin Hopp had another new paint job on his Corvette. Tom Anderson was there with his Mustang Funny Car. Another Scandinavian Pro Comp Funny was the Snap-on Tools Trans Am. Colin Gill got into handling problems with his jag-powered Plymouth Coupe altered and rolled it on the Friday. Stefan Svensson was there with his Killer Mustang from Sweden. Also back over from Sweden, Ken Pearson with his French-sponsored Fueler, and Tony Dongis with his 7-Up Pro Comp Dragster. Brian Hazelton was driving the ex-Clive Skilton USA Dragster in Pro Comp. Alan Froome was driving the Ragnarok Mustang. The Trey Krona Arrow was tucked away in its see-through transporter. Bornardine was there in the Dex Volvo. Stainer Stolen and crew pulled the California Charger out of its box. First round of Pro Comp saw Martin Hopp shut down by Tony Dongis. Then Steve Martin driving Krypton beat the Snap-on Tools Trans Am. Next, Ronnie Picardo performs an excellent burnout but gets beaten in the race by Brian Hazelden. Bornardine takes the win over Jim Reed, who loses a blowout. Then it's John Grosland against Vaughan Holgrim, with the funny car taking it. Stainer Stolen comes out to face Christer Johansson. This time the dragster takes the win. Next, Anders Lantz takes on Ola Asrud. Anders takes the win. Then Jerry Andrews got a bye run into the next round. Not sure who these guys were, but they looked like they were having fun. There were only 14 Fuel Funny cars qualified for the Hot Rod and Custom UK Magazine Eliminator in 1981, and they paraded up the strip before the first round. Andy Hurdle comes out for a mid 7 seconds, 220 mile an hour run in the Scorpion Jet. First round of Funny Cast saw Tom Anderson through as Bill Sherritt lost bar in the Cannonball, which was the old Don Prudhomme Arrow. Chris Philsell was driving the old Gene Snow Arrow with a reshaped nose and now called Satan's Sledge. He comes out against Owen Hayward in Hound Dog, who took it with a 675 to a 7 flat. Tom Hoover in the Showtime Corvette and Anders Hasselstrom came out for side-by-side by-runs into the next round. Next it's Alan Froome and Alan Herridge with Bootsy taking the win as Froome wheel stands and drops the laundry. Leonard Ekovin was driving the Trey Krona Arrow and gets a lucky win as Paul Manders brakes after the burnout. John Mills also broke in the Rain City Warrior Vega, handing the win to Harlan Thompson. Kent Pearson beat Norwegian Olaf Johnson in a best of 3 in Top Fuel. The Santapod match race jets were being driven by Alan Herridge and Kieran Westman. Also running a best of 3 were the 2 Rockets with Sammy in the dragster and jet car veteran Al Erdem in the funny car. In the first race, Al won with a whole shot 479 to Sammy's 467. Top Modified saw a few Scandinavian entries. Here Stefan Svensson runs a 9.03 to move into the semis. Then Al O'Connor takes out Dave Warren's Vega panel. Next up, Sylvia Hauser shuts down Barry Potter's Lotus. Then it's Richard Wozek in the Meanie Minor against Dave Collis in Frenzy, and the Minor takes it. Back to Pro Comp quarterfinals, and Krista Johansson runs a strong 690 to defeat Brian Hazelton's 729. Then Tony Dongis beats Anders Lantz when the Roach Monza crosses the centre line. Bornardine went through when the Krypton broke. John Grosland broke a fuel line, letting Jerry Andrews through with a quick 6.89. Back to Funny Car quarterfinals, and Hound Dog shuts down Tom Anderson with a 699 to a 769. Then it's Anders Hasselstrom against Alan Herridge, who took it with a 659 to a 751. Everyone expected a good race when Tom Hoover came out to face Harlan Thompson. Showtime recorded a strong 6:32, but Harlan took the win with a 6:20. Leonard Ekebin got another lucky by run. In the near lane from Sweden is Stefan Ryson on his Yamaha, which got down to an 8:04 172. Mike Rutland in Shaky Pudding Mustang takes on the Toyota of Steve Dunn. Supercomp semis saw Russ Carpenter defeat Bob Turner's straight shooter Jag T. Then Rico Anthes shut down Paranoia. The final went to Russ Carpenter. Top modified semis saw Sylvia Hauser up against Stefan Svensson. Despite a 10.65 by the Dodge, the Swedish Mustang took it with an 8.92. Then it was Ausgasser against the Mini Minor. A bad start by the Gasser gave the win to the Minor, which went on to take the final. The Pro Comp final went to Jerry Andrews, who beat a red lighting Johansson, and Funny Car went to Harlan Thompson when Gladiator broke. On now to May 1983 and back to Blackbushe as Bob West gets a bit out of shape in his 426 Hemi-powered Slick Willie. Mike Rutland was back out in Shaky Pudding. Simon Bannerfield was driving the 440 Chrysler-powered Pinball Wizard, which has the boot pop open halfway down. Ivan Fryer was out in his Day Tommaso. That's Surrey street rodder Dave Warren in his Jag-powered Primered Pop, getting chased down the track by Steve Green. The red B Roadster is John Kowalski's Clockwork Orange. That's Andy Robinson's High Riding Zodiac and Paul Bird's Pro Street Pop. And that's Steve Dunn's Tokyo Toy Toyota. Ronnie Picardo was running in Fuel Funny Car with his Blue Way Datsun and comes out against Gary Page in the ex-Biddle Panic Monza. In Pro Comp, Jim Reed takes on Doug Bond in the shoestring dragster. Then it's a solo run for Dave Wilson in the Krypton. Top fuel action as Andy Craddock in Frontline comes out against Dennis Priddle, who was running without the rear wing as an experiment for his Streamliner. In Supercomp, Bob West comes out again against Sue Cole's How's a Poppin', and this time he gets a bit more out of shape and rolls it. The car was rebuilt, but crashed again at Longmarston in August. Russ Carpenter takes on Bob Jarrett in Stripteaser. Then it's Herb Andrews in Magnum Force and Dave Chapman's High Anxiety Topolino. Frank Bennett in Phantasm takes on Mark Forrester's Chrysler Slingshot Gear Jammer, which has some problems. Moving on to Top Modified, and Graham Barr's Neon Star Mustang takes on the American Auto Parts Camaro of Terry Gibbs. Then it's John Mullen's Camaro against the Clifton Brothers Hot Tomato Opel GT. Dave Warren returns to the pits in his backseat driving Jag Pop. Pro Comp final saw Krypton take the win over Le Patron. Doug Bond comes out for a practice run. Back to Santa Pod for the 1983 Big Go as Chris Vilsell completes the run on a damp track in Roaring Thunder, which was a Kenworth body on the Rain City Warrior chassis. In the near lane is Steve Green's Rover V8 Cortina. Clive Page in Panic beats Tony Bowden in the Hitman Funny. Al O'Connor in a primed Ausgasser beats Graham Barr's Neon Star. Russ Carpenter was back out and here defeats Steve Johnson's Cosworth V6 Motormouse. Then Dave Gibbons in the Rough Diamond beats Herb Andrews. Finally, we return to Blackbushe for the August 1984 Street Machine Magazine Nationals, as Zane Llewellyn makes his way down the Blackbushe blacktop in his yellow boot suit chopped Cortina. Simon Banfield was back out in Pinball Wizard, with the boot firmly shut down this time. That's George Greatholder's Rover-powered Opel GT called War Bonnet. Steve Clifton takes on Dave Mingay's Hellraiser 2. That's Laurie Walton's Rover Slingshot and Mike Burt's 383 Chrysler Econo funny car, which used the old Hillbillies Avenger body. Mick Slocum in the V6T Antiquity takes on Roger Hand's blown Rover-T. Bob Brown was there in his Daytona Charger. Terry Clark ran this Honda go-kart as a dragster, but it wasn't as quick as the Triumph karts from the early 70s. Robin Reed in a Daimler-powered Bad Habit takes on Dave Lomas in his Chevette Altered. Another Daimler dragster was John Hunt's Gold Digger. Brian Thomas was back out in the rapid jag-powered Paranoia. That's the Custom Car Magazine Project 32 Roadster, part of the Rodder Custom Show organised by the Surrey Street Rodders. That's Dave Emerson on Wild Thing, which was one of Angus MacPhail's creations. That's Arthur Bonner's Detroit Spinner Prefect. Robbie Sterling comes out in his Chevy-powered 39 Ford Coupe as part of the Street Machine Eliminator.
Roger, read long roll, but something went drastically wrong on that run. Something let go.